kulikuwa na a tweet that Karun ali post on the 29th of November, or was it the 28th? I think it was 29th or 28th of November. Wiki ni this ni wiki ni Monday, because 28th ilikuwa show ya ni Tuesday. Time. So on Tuesday ilikuwa 29th. Ni kukawa na hiyo tweet, I believe, or on Monday from Karun. Tumereview projects zile amekuwa a part of. So projects zake tumereview Catch a Vibe ya last year 2021. This year tumereview Passenger 555, a collaborative effort between yeye na Jinku. Hiyo project ilikuwa kwa, in fact it was my number 1 project of 2022 during our media list. Ilikuwa pia number 1 kwa list ya Abe. Then I think ilikuwa number 2 or 3 kwa ya Irauka, or maybe low. Irauka ni hater. So Karun alitake to Twitter na akapost something that ilifanya kuwe na mazungumzo mtandaoni. Watu waka argue, kuiongelea, watu wakawa concerned kuhusu kile alipost, maybe for justifiable reasons, maybe not for very justifiable reasons. But sahi ukiitafuta hautapata hiyo tweet, ni kama alitoa. But alisema, if I die unexpectedly, release anything on my hard drives, all the unreleased music and even the unfinished ones. Then akamaliza kwa the other sentence akasema, I don't want my music to die with me. P.S. The only person I need profiting off my stuff when I die is my son. So I remember the responses. Zilikuwa nyingi sana. So kwanza, Karun was one of the artists wenye a lot of people will argue that alikuwa na heydays zake during era ya Camp Mula, and even some of the comments kwa tweets zake, when it's very unrelatable, say so. Oh, we miss Camp Mula. Oh, Camp Mula was ahead of its time. You can never get that moment again and never have such again. These people have moved on with their lives. Why don't you also move on with your life? Na allow an artist a grow, na hata kama si growth necessarily, akuwe in ile state yuko in at the current moment, and just let them be in ile hali that wako currently, instead of this constant nagging and pestering. But that is always the case that naonanga. So kulikuna comments that mentioned Camp Mula, na pia nimeona kwa another tweet that is completely unrelatable, someone else I mentioned Camp Mula. So hao ni watu wenye watakwambia hivyo, but pia kuna other people I'm sure wenye maybe if who've listened to her solo music, and they can still say that because ikikuja kwa impact ya music yake as a solo act haijakuwa na impact ile walipata as Camp Mula. Also our individual artists kina Kusma, yeye as a producer afanya stuff yake. Niliongelea Shapaman the other week, nikiongelea Janice Iches launch at The Journey Continues na listening session. Shapaman alikuwa one of the DJs who was playing at the Mist that morning. Teyo amekuwa a DJ, amekuwa radio presenter, so wanafanya different things and they've moved into different fields kwa career zao, different moments of their careers. So it's only right that allow wafanye vitu wanafanya na uwakubali, not necessarily wakubali, allow wafanye kile wanafanya na ukubali msanii at their current stage. The man from Juba. Kumbe mko na mneti. Na nimetaja Abe. Hazel will tell you that this is witchcraft. I've just mentioned Abe here nikiongelea Karun. So hiyo ilikuwa tweet ya Karun, and a lot of the responses zilishow concern. So nilikuwa na number of thoughts, obviously. Kwanza inaongelea death. So, mimi na kifo tunakuanga na uhusiano fulani. Nilikuwa nasema tukigo back to Karun's impact na solo career yake. So kuna people wenye watakwambia this is her best time ever, na Karun is making some of the best music she has ever made, which I agree. Kuna a maturity in her music, kuna a self-awareness in her music that amecenter kwa a lot of songs, na pia kuna a lot of working on self and dealing with emotional turmoil, dealing with her mental well-being through ngoma zake since siku za Indigo, but most of the songs zile anafanyanga ziko centered on romantic relationships. So since Indigo, then When the Sun and Moon, na kuja kwa Catch a Vibe, you'll see all of easy transitions that nasema na elements that nataja kwa easy projects. Ukicompare na what Camp Mula was going for, a young group coming into the industry, walikuwa teenagers, walikuwa na make mostly fun, party having, club going music. That was the idea, and sound yao ilikuwa really unique. One of the sonic imprints that haijakuwa duplicated ever, na that was a moment kwa Kenyan music, iliwapatia hata a BET nomination. But Karun post Camp Mula, as a musician, as a singer, as a songwriter, become na get more into herself and her being. So watu wenye ushina waki-argue na wakipesta Camp Mula, kwanza move on. The group was, walikuwa na turn yao, they did what they did, amazing work, iliisha, it's done, it's a different phase. Walikuwa na a sort of an offshoot kind of group, but ilikuwa Karun na Teyo, walikuwa kwa a group called Cosmic, not was it Cosmic Heroes? They had a group na Mamushka. So ilikuwa group, I think 5 people. Cosmic Homies. I had to remember. My memory, I had to remember. Cosmic Homies. Walikuwa na a group, they've collaborated here and there, but importantly, kubali and move on wewe kama listener, na usikize kazi zao zile wametoa. Kama utazipenda ni sawa, but let them be kwa current stage ile wako in. Teyo alikuwa kwa project Lisa Durnoa early in the year, self-titled debut ya Lisa. So they're still doing stuff that unaweza skiza if music is what you want from her acts. Not as Camp Mula, pia unaweza tu achana nao kama usikizi, because na feelingi hiyo pestering ni very lazy. Obviously kuna ile kumiss a group that was once important to you na ili form a part of your life and you loved, but at some point ina get kukua now lazy and extreme, kwa sababu unashanga si huyu mtu anatoa muziki, si ati afanyi muziki, na ina feel ni kama hujaenda kuangalia muziki amefanya na what amekuwa ki-release, which leads me to my point, or one of my thought processes during this entire moment ya kupitia hii tweet ya Karun kuhusu kifo chake. Ni one of the artists wenye na feelingi could be bigger than she is, and kuna very many Kenyan artists who should be bigger than they are. Kuna masaibu mengi sana, changamoto nyingi sana with our music climate and our landscape kimziki, our industry. Kuna very many factors that cause this, but Karun should be one of those artists wenye anafaa kuwa really huge. Na naongelea because hii discussion ya huge pia inaweza kuwa very debatable, kwa sababu ukiangalia numbers zake Spotify na listeners wake ni higher than other mainstream acts on the same platform, but bigger in terms of mass reach na mass appeal in the country. That is what namanisha. Whenever Karun anatoanga music, na tukiangalia the mainstream acts, their appeal, their mainstream, their mass appeal inaonekananga sana kwa their YouTube numbers, and then from there mnapata partnerships, deals, endorsements, collaborations na organizations and business entities. Then mnaangalia their performances and the kind of shows zile wanapata. So najiulizanga nikiangalia Karun on the other hand na muziki yake online on YouTube na Spotify na hizi streaming platforms, najiulizanga hizi numbers ziko wapi, na nyinyi wenye mnazusha nyuko kwa hizo videos kweli mmesikiza projects zake? Are you buying the music, not just streaming? Are you buying? Are you going to the shows? Are you doing hizi supporting activities, ama saiju anaongelea kifo chake, sasa mnakaa na mnaanza kuongea. Hivyo ndio nilikuwa nafikiria ama nilikuwa na feel. The other thing ni I feel as a country, as a people, as a race, as a species, tunafaa kuongea more about death and dealing with our mortality. I know for some of us, we are constantly confronting our mortality. It's a constant thing that preoccupies 99% of our time. Najua, and possibly we are projecting here, believing and thinking and wishing that everyone else should be doing the same, understandably. But we still believe, we still think that ingekuwa muhimu sana if people wataanza kunormalize talks za kifo. Najua, it's completely difficult for a majority of people. For some, it's very simple. For some people, wanaongeleanga kifo all the time, and it's just, it's a thing. Ni kawaida. Ni part of conversation like any other thing would be a part of the conversation. But sisi kama jamii, and then as humans, as part of culture, as part of conversations, inafaa kuwa pia more and more. One of those things that watu who struggle kuongelea, na pia iko na a lot of determining na influencing factors. Ni kama stories za do na finances, ni kama stories za sex. Hizi ni vitu that kama jamii tunakuanga na a hard time kuzungumzia, but ni muhimu, na ni muhimu sana for watu kwanza confront na kudeal na their mortality. Because nasemanga, if you are alive, we know the obvious outcome. You will die. It's very obvious, very, very apparent. So think, contemplate your death, your mortality, memento mori, talk about it more. It normalize, and this isn't even tying to anything. Sijui stories za legacy and will, vituka mental health. It is not just generally death as this passage, if you want to call it so, as this right, as this act, as this thing, as this reality, whatever it is nataka kuita, as this stage, as this step, as this finality. Ni muhimu sana ku have easy conversations. Ataka sina watu because before ifike hapo inaanza na with yourself. Nimeongelea death nikabaki wapi na mtu mmoja. Watu wataki stories za kifo. Jack ni aje. People don't want this story. I'm making people think about their mortality. Now I am alone. Nothing but the usual. Starting it ukiwa by yourself, you're thinking through it, you're asking questions about it. Na si ati atufikiriangi, ile si suppress hizo thoughts za kifo. We don't even want to go there. Watu wengi usemanga, I don't even want to think about it. Time itakuja, vile itakuja, ikuje. Kuna wanasema ukifikiria utaiita. I wonder why I'm still here. So, kuna a lot of these things that people give as reasons for not doing that and not thinking about death. But ni easier ukianza with yourself. They get to a point where you can sit and have conversations and discourse with other people regarding the same. So here we are with Post ya Karun, now that it can tie to other aspects. It can tie to mental health, but from what I just read, because kuna an article that nimeona where nime derive the tweet from, wameitie to mental health. The main idea ya comprehension, hiyo tweet ya Karun ni legacy. What happens after I die regarding my music and what I leave behind, what people call what happens to your estate ki mziki. Kuna stories za wasanii kibao sana where their estates zimekuwa mishandled and the artists wenyewe and the families hawajapata pesa because of the disorganization and lack of clarity that was there preceding their death. So mtu amepass, hakukuwa na clarity in terms of the direction we are going, what you're supposed to do with your music, or the music wale wenye wali own wanaamua pia ku play foul and not care at all for the families and who's left behind. Capitalism, obviously, no one gives a fuck. So these stories may happen a lot. Kuna estates zile now, because hakuna clarity, zimekuwa mismanaged by maybe someone who was close to the artist and alikuwa sort of a manager. Wow. And then ina cause conflict with families baadaye. Hizi stories zinakuanga na zime happen. Here is someone posting about and thinking kuhusu legacy yake, na before mtu ametweet amefikiria, na hata wewe kukuja kwa comment kusema oh please delete this, delete set because you said so, but another reasons zake Karun, don't think about this, say this in the next 60 years. Tukwe tu realistic. How many of us are getting to 80? Hi Abe. Abe wants to live a long life. How many? So a lot of the responses, you could tell that ni watu wamekuwa confronted na thought ya kifo. Kwanza, kifo ya Karun, who to them is a beautiful musician, an amazing act whose music they enjoy. And the other layer ya mortality ni ya death ya someone else. You also are compelled to confront kifo chako. When you lose someone, inafanyanga ufikirie pia kifo chako, inafanyanga ufikirie life sana na reality and the idea of life and why we are here, what happens after we die. So you confront a lot of thoughts when you're thinking about the death of someone whom you've lost, or death ya watu, whether umewajua ama hujawajua. So for example, if ni an artist you know, a producer, a movie director, an actor, etc., a porn star, you know, and I'm a daddy, na siati unamjua whatsoever, you just watched the works that they've produced, unakonga na you feeling your loss, and you're feeling maybe a despair, you're feeling your desolation that you undergo, and you're confronting mortality and thinking about life generally and what it means and why we are here. Nikianza niliongelea nihilism na absurdism na existentialism. Here again imekuja full circle. It's what is happening here. Karun amefikiria, ameponda kifo chake, which we do. We think about our death. So the lens at which we go tukifollow hizo thoughts ndio ina kuanga varied. Kuna inakuja wanazima hiyo thought, wana move on na life. Inakuja naomba Mungu niweke hai, niishi longer. For some inakujanga and they go and then they stay there for the rest of their life thinking about their death. All of these are realities that happen. Na nimesema before mtu aiandike ameiwaza na ataiwaza even after. Juu ini a snapshot of a thought process that unaona, and ni conversations that people have with themselves a lot, and people should have easy conversations with themselves a lot kuhusu their death. I am a huge proponent of thinking about your death, talking about your mortality. But on top of that, ukiangalia where Karun was leading us, ilikuwa kuhusu legacy. And not legacy in terms of how anataka jina lake libaki after ameaga dunia. Human beings are obsessed with legacy, but legacy in terms of assets zake na estate yake na mziki yake. What happens to that after ameaga na akasema release everything, toa kila kitu kwa hard drive, sitaki kukufa na chochote, kila kitu kiende, hata kazi unfinished zitoe zote. Na akasema PS, I only want my son ndio akwe the only person anaye benefit kutoka mziki wangu after nimeaga. Nimesema most of the responses how they were, and some of them were just off the rail, off grid, but kulikuwa na responses pia za watu wengine wakisema this is just a statement, ukiweka hapa mtandaoni tafuta lawyer iseti kwa will. So hiyo tweet Karun ali delete, but nimesema nimepata kwa another blog that wali bring in, inaitwa Scarlet Kiss online, wali bring in some mental health discussion. Sema tweet leaves fans worried. People are worried. I didn't see the need to be worried at all. As you're becoming worried, Davey, msupporti mziki na mnunui mziki na muende concerts, mwache tu kutokea Twitter na kusema 60 more years. Really hope you're supporting the artist. So the other thing, apart from music stories and mental health, anajaribu tu ku connect things that are not even connected, presumably, but based on the tweet, based on my comprehension, kupata an article, how it feels on my end. I mean, into a past interview, akiongelea anxiety, na how alikuwa on medication. Inafilika alikuwa anatafuta tu an article, because this was just legacy na music yake after, which calls for a conversation about legacy ya msanii after medai na estates and music and what happens then. Perfect opportunity lost here by the author of this. Something else that irked me in 2022, getting to 2023, who is still calling Karun Miss Karun? What are we doing? What are we doing? One more time, the tweet. Leo nimekuwa nikiona recurring ones a lot. At 1:11, at 11:11, then imetani kona 1:11:11. One more time, the tweet inasema, if I die unexpectedly, release anything on my hard drives. All the unreleased music and even the unfinished ones. I don't want my music to die with me. P.S. The only person I need to profiting off my stuff when I die is my son. That's what Karun wrote, not Miss Karun. So the moment I saw this tweet, sijui kama you've seen that post before or heard the story before, but it immediately took me to Anderson .Paak. So in August last year, Anderson .Paak alimake a similar post on Instagram. However, kulikuwa na a huge difference ukiangalia stance ya Anderson .Paak na stance ya Karun, which is something that I found intriguing na nikiangalia hizi perspectives, which na maana nimesema ili kuwa perfect opportunity ya the author of your article na sisi kama jamii, sisi kama listeners, but sisi pia kama jamii kijumla, kuzungumzia hii idea ya legacy after msanii amedai, na pia after sisi tumededi, kufikiria about our own stuff na our own organization. But sana sana ikija kwa wasanii, story ya legacy na what happens to the music, na whether you've organized your publishing and where your funds and your resources, your funds and revenue itaenda na kile utapata kama income yako kupitia muziki yako, because ukidai we know what happens. Check out history, toka kwa music enda kwa art, uangalie historia, tunajua what happens. Wasanii upata hela kibao sana after wamededi. Nilifikiria kuhusu Anderson .Paak. Na Anderson .Paak alimake a post on Instagram na stance yake ni the complete opposite of what Karun alisema kwa tweet yake. So Anderson .Paak alipost a picture of his tattoo on his arm. I believe this is his right arm. Yenye ni a text ameandika. Na the text inasema, when I am gone, please don't release any posthumous albums or songs with my name attached. The complete opposite of Karun. Those were just demos and never intended to be heard by the public. Those were just demos and never intended to be heard by the public. On the other hand, kuna Karun akisema toa kila kitu kwa hard drive hata the unfinished ones. This is very, very different. And I watched and even thought about this, a video by Fantano akidiscuss, akisema how imepeleka, how easy conversations za wasanii na legacy zao na mziki yao after wamededi imepeleka Anderson .Paak to this extent, ni kwa sababu anajua kile kitafanyika once amededi, sana sana kwa industry yao. So one thing, the first layer ni, when you see this, it's a public declaration, yes, and so it leaves your fans with your idea na your knowledge ya wanajua kile ulisema na stance yako. So if Karun happens to die now, nyinyi mkiona anything else mtandaoni, mnajua benefits zinafaa kuendea mjunior wake. If anyone else is benefiting or had to benefit, then inawapatia hiyo leeway, hiyo leverage, hiyo chance, hiyo opportunity ya kuzusha na kusema something foul ina happen na kui-underscore. For Anderson .Paak ni the same thing. Amewambia in case ni dedi, msitoe chochote na jina langu at all. Nimedai, that was the last of me. na story yangu imeisha. Nyinyi kama mashabiki mnajua, oh, if this is supposed to happen, we are expecting nothing from Anderson .Paak. Kitu yenye kuna jina la Anderson .Paak ameiweka publicly, so kuna a lot of questions, kutakuwa na a lot of concerns and backlash that ita appear should anything come out na jina la Anderson .Paak, which knowing Anderson .Paak na career yake, these are huge superstars. Kuna a possibility that someone somewhere might and will possibly release a track na jina la Anderson .Paak. Hao ni wasanii wakubwa sana. This kwa industry yao can happen. People play dirty. So sitakuwa surprised nikisikia Paak amedai. Mwenye nimeona pia ameget into DJing na tupate a song na jina la Anderson .Paak. So kunaweza kuwa na changes between the time aliposti story na tattoo and maybe now, because ilikuwa a year ago. Watu who rethink things kuhusu maisha, watu badilisha their perspectives. It can happen. Yes, it's a tattoo, but thought process, it can happen. It is something that you can change. Hata kama imeandikwa na imekuwa set on skin. Perspective unaweza change, useme najua nilisema hivi kwa my tattoo, but kwa my actual will this is what should happen, which leads me to my other point ya will writing, ili you set things in stone na ikuwe na a lawyer or whoever atakuwekea mwenye atatake charge of that. Ni similar to Karun, someone can just say, yo Anderson, this is just a tattoo, and yes, sisi kama fans wako and your listeners tunajua you did say nothing else inafaa ku come out yenye kona jina lako, but did you ensure that hizi vitu zimeandikwa legally to prevent this from happening? Because yes, it's just a tattoo. See a legal statement, which Karun's tweet is also not. So that's why historia will pia ni significant na very vital. Have it in writing legally, apart from tweeting it and publicizing it in this manner. So it's the same thing, but the importance here ni fans wako na hiyo awareness, wanajua stance ya msanii, na in case kuna vifo vyao, then you know vile mnafaa kureact na kuact, na mnajua kile nilikuwa nimesema before ni dedi. Ilikuwa fascinating kuona easy extremes from different artists, but based on vifo vyao in case vitoke. And for their industry, sana sana i concern Anderson .Paak ni because anajua kuhusu posthumous releases. Kuna perennial releases posthumously. Pop Smoke, Juice WRLD ni some examples, kuna Prince as well. So this happens na kuna people who end up benefiting from posthumous releases. Kuna wasanii kama kina Tupac who had recorded a lot of music. And so what happens with these posthumous releases, kama ni Pac na Biggie, utapata kuna a verse sana sana for Biggie who alikuwa na very fewer recordings ukicompare na Tupac, verses zake maybe one particular verse imetumika kwa mangoma different. And someone can, kuna an album recently that has done that na verse ya Biggie, they took an old B.I.G verse wakaiweka mahali. So when this is happening with verses from people after wamedie, that is usually the case. So the verses will be lackluster, or they'll be poorly mixed, they'll poorly fit into the concept of the song or the soundscape of the song. This has happened a lot, and it's worse when the entire projects, kama ni albums kama za the Juice WRLDs and the Pop Smokes, hizi albums zile zimetoka watu wamesema ni lackluster, but because hazikuwa na the hand of the artist. You can only go so far in predicting and kujaribu kutell where the artist was going with their vision na kile wangetaka. All you're doing ni pure speculation. Even if nimeongea na wewe leo sahi, and then after this live ni happen kudai na nilikuwa nawakia project na nimekuambia how this is supposed to go, you will not do it as I would have done it. Haitakuwa exact, haiwezekani, ni impossible. So that is what imehappen na hizo projects that nimetaja za wasanii wenye waliaga hawakuwa na say in their releases at all, na ina affect the quality of the work. So posthumous releases ukuwa na a lot of concerns. Kulikuwa na a different moment kwa Mac Miller's circles, kwa sababu alikuwa I think in fact sijui alikuwa amecomplete the entire project, kwa sababu Circles ilikuwa the other half of previous album yake Swimming ya 2018, which ilitoka then akadai after the project itoke in September. Album ilitoka in August. So Swimming ilikuwa nafaa kwa kitu kama Swimming in Circles. That was the concept. So ilikuwa ni kama the other half, the counterpart of swimming, but swimming katoka peke yake. Na hata ukisikia circles, ukisikia the sonic scape, ukisikiza Mac Miller's performances vocally, uimbaji wake, you can tell how this is a counterpart and the other half of this first project. So ilikuwa almost complete, almost complete, because ukiona the interview with the producer mwenye alimalizia anasema ilikuwa na a few tweaks tu za kufanya because the music was done ama close to being done. So ilikuwa kazi kiasi sana, then waka release with Mac Miller's circles. Kuna hiyo communication and contact with the family na kupatiwa a go ahead ya kuimalizia na kuishughulikia. But even for DMX I had the same thing with project yake yenye ilitoka, that you could tell kuna hizi discrepancies and a lack of cohesion and a lack of perfection and meticulousness to the work, because haikukuwa yeye na haikukuwa handi yake all the way through. So hizi ni challenges that haupitia na things that happen, and ni their art and their catalogs and their names here at stake, but importantly watu ku make money from them after wame die. So hizi ni the concerns that zinafanya Anderson .Paak atatu statement kama hiyo kwa mkono yake, that hataki chochote kitoke ambacho kina jina lake after amededi. And hizi nizo the conversations that tungefaa ku have once Karun posted kile amepost. But of course this is Sana kwa Sana, this is what we do, and you're welcome.